Welcome to Robot Adventures review of the Orville and Star Trek TV shows for the week of 2019 Valentine's week on the 15th. So today is Saturday here in Japan, and it's aired on Thursday in America, which is Friday here in Japan, which I get home and watch it, and then I'm tired and sleepy, and then Saturday I make a video. Come back. So, just right off the bat, the winner of this week was, I'm thinking Star Trek. They're both good shows, and, I don't know about the ratings and the stars and stuff like that, so, the opinions of people, they're opinions. In my opinion, based on the Millennium Falcon and Star Wars figures, I think Star Trek was better this week. It did have some problems, and Orville also. I'm going to do this all in under 30 minutes, hopefully. So I want to get through it all. Let's talk about Star Trek. So like I mentioned in the last episode, last week's episode, you can find it right there with the click the link and the something. This week's video brought to you by something on my table. When you're looking for something on your table, why not check out that thing that is on my table? Goodbye. Alright, so, oh shit, that fell down. So last week, Tilly got sucked into the mycelial network by the spore thing that jumped into her body and then got, sucked up Tilly's DNA, and then it became a thing, and then... So, Tilly was sucked into the mycelial network. They were still tracking Spock. Like, oh, we're trying to track Spock. Still no Spock. And the episode starts off with Burnham running like this, like, I am so fast. And she's got this floppy little running kind of technique that she's got, and her fingers are just cut through the air. It's like, all right, you can relax those fingers a little, I guess. I don't know. But maybe on a starship, the air is something and they got to cut through it. I don't know. It's a Vulcan running technique. But, that was a little silly. And, so she's like, oh, we got to go get Tilly, okay? And so okay. And then Stamets is like, well, why don't we just kind of half-ass our way into the mycelial network and, jump into it, and then stop, and then look around for her before the spores eat our ship. So they've got a time limit. It's like, oh, the spores are going to eat our ship. And, so they get to the, that's their idea. Tracking Spock, before that, they were tracking Spock's ship. And they hey, it's Spock, we need to stop Spock. So they shoot a torpedo at him and stop the ship. But Spock wasn't in the ship. It was Captain Giorgio from the Dark Universe. Now she's in Sector 31 with some other people. So, and Giorgio's with Burnham's ex the guy who was Tuval. Topak. I forgot. The guy who was the Klingon guy. You know, the human who was the Klingon. So they are Sector 31 on the ship, and they don't trust Tupal. I forget his name. I'm going to put it right somewhere there. And so he's just kind of hanging around, like, oh, he killed Stamets' boyfriend, you know, so he's dangerous. Like, oh no, he didn't kill him. It was the Klingon that was imprinted in his brain that killed him. So he's a good guy. And anyway, so they're still trying to find Spock, and they want to find Tilly now. So they jump into the mycelial network. They start running around there, and the mushrooms in the network are like, oh, there's this demon thing that is in our world that is killing us, and we can't hurt it because every time we attack it, it kills us. So Tilly has to help, you know, kill the monster. And there's like, oh no, you kill it. And that monster turns out to be Stamets' ex-husband, or the doctor that Burnham's boyfriend killed when he was Tupal, or whatever his name was. Not Lorca. It was some other name. And so they're like, okay, come on, let's go back. We found you. Let's, somehow in my trippy state of, warping through all these places, I somehow made you or copied you into this world, and come back with me, even, come back from death. But he can't come back the normal way because he's made of the fungal mycelial energy, and he can't, cross between universes like that. Or can he? It's like, oh, jump into that, into the pod that transferred Tilly over here, and then you can come into our world. And then, yay, we did that, we figured it out. And then Tilly and her mushroom friend were separated. It's like, oh, my mushroom friend. And Sector 31 helped out a little bit, and Tyler gets stuck with, added to Captain Pike's crew. It's like, oh yeah, for the time until we find Spock, you get Tyler as a crew member, as part of Sector 31 and stuff like that. It's like, okay, well, that was the deal. And it was a good show. It was good, nice. Saru didn't do much in this one. It wasn't a Saru-based thing, but it was pretty clean. Had a start and a middle and finish, and wrapped up okay. They're still looking for Spock. They've got Tyler back on the ship. They didn't get too lovey-dovey with Burnham, but they did have Stamets. They did have the Stamets, rescuing his dead boyfriend. So, but it wasn't all like lovey-dovey, like, oh, it was kind of like, come on, I'm gonna rescue you, and it's kind of action-packed. So it was like, okay, that was okay. Yeah, it was kind of cool. I mean, the CG was all over the place, and how did he survive, and how was he transferred? That wasn't really clear. It's something like I transferred his energy some way, like I hugged him and I grabbed him and I transferred him over or something. Like last season when he was teleporting all over the place. He was, popping in and out of consciousness and reality was warping and stuff like that. So it was kind of like, we don't really know what happened there. So yeah, that show, and it was a good show. I liked the show. I thought it was a solid show. And then I watched the Orville show, and it was a good show too. I mean, the budget was a lot smaller, and they were just, very next generation Star Trek-y stuff. And their take on the social issues. Star Trek had Stamets going into an alternative universe and finding his dead boyfriend and trying to bring him back into the other universe. That was that story. The Orville went with the Mocklins, the big brown Klingon-y looking kind of character species, are all men. So everyone on the Mocklin world are men. So everyone is gay. So if you are born a female or something, they'll change you. They'll physically change you into a male. And that was an episode before where they had an egg, and they had a daughter, and there was like, oh, should we convert the daughter into a male? And they did do that. In this episode, there was another Mocklin who was, really scientific-y, and he liked females, which would make him straight, but would make him an outcast in his world. And so instead of coming out as straight, he and if he did that, if he came out as straight, his whole family would be exiled off the planet. So everyone's, get out of here, you straight people. He used his engineering stuff to make it look like he was killed by someone who was going to out him as straight, which is Borak. No, not Borak. Barlog. Zangief's husband was going to out him and say, I know what you are. And so it made him, he set up the husband who was going to out him using engineering and the hologram room. I don't know what they call it, the hologram room. But to make it look like he was killed. So he could run away and his family could stay on the Mocklin world. And he didn't get away with it. The security chief, found him. It's like, oh well, I got to turn you over because you framed the other guy. And so she set the other guy free. It's like, look, he's not dead. He framed you, but you're still an asshole for, trying to out him and get him expelled from his home planet because he's straight. And it's like, okay, that was the story. And also, the vice captain, the ex-wife of the captain breaks up with her boyfriend because he wants to go on a trip with her, and it's like, oh, I'm a captain and stuff like that. So they break up, and the crew's like, oh, why don't you get back together with the captain and stuff like that, because they love each other and stuff like that. They have history. So it's like, okay. And it wasn't too lovey-dovey, stuff like that. They did, the relationship stuff was very Next Generation, kind of that level of corniness. It's like, oh, but I like you. Should I not kiss you? And stuff like that. You know, the awkward interspecies relationship stuff like that. It's like, oh, okay, whatever. It was a nice story. It was a good episode. They had a few funny bits here. But yeah, I thought the Star Trek episode was better, more scientific-y, more sci-fi-y. And yeah, so I thought about the social message that was being sent by both of those shows. In Star Trek, I guess the social message was there's a gay man who wants to bring his boyfriend back from death into our universe from an alternative universe. That's still really that's really sci-fi still. Just with the gay man wanting to bring his boyfriend back. In the Orville, the message was don't out people because you're going to be an asshole and stuff like that. Both of those episodes, more of the Orville, I think, have more of the social messages and stuff like that. And one of the criticisms for Doctor Who was that Doctor Who had too many social messages. It's like, oh, we don't need to hear about racial discrimination. We don't need to hear about the occupation of India and all these other things. All we want is sci-fi, and there's this woman pushing all these social issues on us. We hate Doctor Who. And if social issues, I thought that argument was weak to begin with, because sci-fi always pushes social issues, and for those people who are like, oh, fucking Doctor Who's fucking social issue shit, come cramming it down my throat. How do they justify the Orville doing that? It's like, oh, well, I like the Orville because the Orville is something is better than Star Trek, and so their social issues are okay. Cramming down my throat. But I think there are a lot of critics who have their opinion. It's like, yeah, my opinion is Doctor Who sucks because she's not honestly, maybe it's because she's not a man, or she doesn't hold or doesn't exemplify some values that they can latch onto. Whereas the old I'm a man, I'm a white man with a something, or and I said that before in the other videos, like, yeah, you don't have to look like the person on the TV screen to find something in them that you can connect with. You can be from another race, a sex, gender, whatever, and find things in the character that you can connect with. So, yeah, that argument just makes them seem really shallow and stuff like that. Well, fuck that. Alright, dude. So, yeah, if they're people who just hate on the social messages of sci-fi, but they're like, oh, but Orville is great, and everything they do is better than Star Trek or something. they are, of course, hypocrites. They are, their point, their opinion is lessened by their hypocrisy. The validity of their, well, I mean, they do have an opinion, but the basis for their opinion is like, really? Okay, whatever. Yeah, I like it because I like it, and that's it. Alright, well, that's it then. I don't like that because I don't like it, but the reasoning behind your argument is very weak. So, yeah. Both episodes were good. I liked them both. I thought maybe Star Trek was a good 7. The Orville this week was very... It was good. It was maybe a 6.5, maybe. I thought a lot of the Star Trek, like, running stuff and some of the action scenes were a little bit meh. I did like the but the Star Trek sci-fi-ness was good. Orville, on the other hand, a little bit more romance, a little bit less sci-fi. So yeah. So I thought Star Trek was better this week. All right. That's all I gotta say about that. Yeah, next week another episode. Yay! All right, guys. Talk to you guys later. Come by. Bye bye.